Hello everyone, my name is Bianca Hollins, and I'm going to be doing a short presentation on smart technologies, something that I witnessed when I was substitute teaching, and I was kind of blown away by the magic of it, and I saw how excited the students were by it, and just knew that it was something I would need to use when I got into the teaching profession. So I love that there are so many new advances in technology, but I actually want to talk about one that's a little bit older in format. There is a company called Smart Technologies who innovated the smartboard. They were established in 1987, introduced the first interactive whiteboard in 1991, originally as a business tool, but then realized its capacity to help in the education field. And this interactive board used styluses, pens that you could write onto the screen, and it was just a wow factor. And it moved in 2003 to actually incorporate digital vision touch. This uses digital cameras to capture your activity as you're writing using your hand to touch the screen. It's recording that data and interpreting it as activity, so it's a fluid and completely instantaneous movement from your lesson and key points and key concepts. It's very exciting for students to use. They love it. I love it, and they've actually expanded into being a full-service software and integrative hardware company. So we're going to look at some of the hardware, some of the software, and see just where they're innovating today. So the first thing is the hardware. The smartboards use touch. There's the interactive screens or even non-touch screens, but the more typical one is to use the touch and IQ technology. Pen IDs and Smart Ink allow you to annotate right onto the screen. And they're great for your classrooms that are K through 12. Your students will want to interact on their tablet, computers. You can seamlessly get everyone involved at the same time. And they've moved in now to using the Smart Podium, which is a great feature for higher education. It allows you to move about freely. You can make use of larger spaces, face your audience when you're doing a presentation. We're always tempted to kind of look at the screen to guide us, but it actually lets you hold your screen and move about. And you get to take questions, reconfigure your key points to see what your audience is really enjoying, and you have the full touchscreen in front of you, the cordless pen to draw and kind of interact and maybe make some funny jokes for them. So it's a great feature, but the way that they've innovated and really pushed is by their software. In their software, there's a learning suite. You have the Smart Notebook, which helps you to design lessons, assessments. You can connect to other educators, and it's great because you're able to be a little bit more fluid in the way that you're delivering your content. There's also the Smart Lab, which is a customizable activity framework, and what this means is that there are templates you can follow, but it's actually fully customizable to make your particular lessons and your activities fit to your climate of your students, what their interests are, how they learn. If they're more game-based, it would design the activities around their interests. And it also helps with assignments, creating formative assessments in minutes, something that can be a little bit nerve-wracking as you're trying to test your students' knowledge throughout a unit. Sometimes you're not sure if they're really grasping what you're saying and what you're bringing, but you have the opportunity now in your lessons to create quick quizzes, and we'll kind of get more into how you do that a little bit later on in the presentation. And the last part that's really, really cool is the Smart AMP. It's a workspace that connects all of your students to your content. Everyone's signing into the same framework, the same database, getting the same access, which is huge, 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 huge in teaching right now, making sure that classrooms are fully inclusive and equitable. And I feel that this software does just that to make sure that you can fall in line with that ideal. And what this always leads us to is the influence. So why are smartboards popular? What have they done so far? Well, their established influence is that they can help with supporting participation, they tackle assessment challenges, and they offer resources. The first part is that it helps with making sure that your students are confident, that they're also having social and emotional learning as their ultimate goal. Smartboards help teachers to create activities that your students are enthusiastic to join into, and it's been proven that there's a 20% higher social and emotional development when students are able to interact freely integrating technology. For higher level students, what this can mean, and what's very, very important with audio response systems that are a part of smart technology, is that the tech creates a sense of camaraderie. There's team building. They can help each other to find answers. They can annotate in real time, chat. There's no more of having to look through the textbook, highlight, write down some notes, talk to each other, write again. Now that whole process is streamlined, making kids more enthusiastic to participate. And this also helps teachers to be more enthusiastic about the way that they do their questioning and their techniques they use. Now that you can add text, images, and collaborative frameworks with your students on their own devices as well as yours, you get a better brainstorming session out of your lessons and students are more engaged. And the biggest thing is that mobility happens anywhere. We are so used to our students coming in, using tablets, cell phones. Now you can take advantage of the technology they use daily to interact with them and to get them into the fold. What this leads us to is assessments. How can this help the process of testing student knowledge? One thing that's great is that activities, quizzes, and tests can be signed into by individuals or groups. The data is collected and analyzed immediately, and there's breakdowns by the pie charts. The convenience for teachers is that this data is analyzed immediately, so no more paper tests to grade and a lag between the time that the students take their test and you can give them feedback. It now all happens instantly at the touch of a button. And if a question's not working or it seems like it's too complicated, now you can go in and you can change it right away. Add photos, add other review devices that are going to help your students, and it's all within minutes. The best part too is pie graphs and word cloud breakdowns. Teachers are able to see where their strengths or weaknesses lie with a particular quiz. They can adjust their lessons that are failing or succeeding and adjust accordingly. It happens all in a smooth and fluid framework now, rather than having to go back and forth to the drawing board. One of the great things about Smart Tech outside of assessments is also that it offers resources. There are over 340,000 online resources that are available for lesson and unit planning. So teachers can use Smart Exchange, which is a searchable database, look through existing lesson plans, existing unit plans, see what works in other locations. You're connected globally to smart exemplary educators who are just as forward-thinking and technology-driven as you are, and you can create communities within discussion boards to share your tips. So now you don't have to feel alone if you're a little bit unsure of how to introduce a particular topic. There's a whole group of people out there supporting you and helping you to integrate it with the technology that you have in your classroom available right away. So all of these great things are an integral part of pushing smart tech as the next big thing. But there's also productivity benefits that most teachers might not realize that they have with the smart board types they have already. So some things are flow. You can save and access files, you can incorporate media, and what this means is that you're not having to go back to the drawing board over and over again, rewriting a lesson plan from scratch and getting frustrated. Now it's all saved, it's all put aside and completely seamlessly put together, and you can refer to it as much as you need to on the fly. It creates a better efficiency because your lessons are organized. You can fluidly add notes and transitions and focus more on the content of your lesson rather than the structure of your lesson. And we know that this is a huge help when it comes to classroom management. No more worrying about there's a lag time, there's too much dead time, idle space, and students don't know what to do, so they start misbehaving. No, now it's structured, it's tight, efficient. Students know what they're supposed to be doing, they're more engaged, they're less likely to misbehave, and it helps them with conceptualization. Now that they're focusing on the exact content they're supposed to know, they're more enthusiastic about focusing and maintaining the momentum that they have. They become more confident, they have memorable experiences, they remember the functions of the technology and how it helped them, and they're more and more excited to just be an active participant in class. Even your more reluctant students, even students who might be, suffering from a little bit of apathy about a lesson or a subject, this is your way to bring them into the fold and get them excited again. With all of these benefits, with all of these advantages, one of the things we must keep in mind is that it's kind of an inevitable move, an inevitable shift. There's been a growth in visibility for classroom technology. For smart tech specifically, There are 15 million users of smart software globally and counting. Every year there are 5 million more people who are signing on to use this software. And with classroom technology spending projected to hit 21 billion in sales, we know that the tide is turning. And it's no surprise that districts and technology vendors are working closely. They're trying to make sure that this investment by educators, administrators, it's worthwhile, it's long-lasting. And similar ventures like Kahoot, some of you may have heard of, they have an estimated 830 million users. Apps are taking greater precedence. So we've decided that our leisure tech love is translated into our business and education tech love, and there is no turning back. So in conclusion, to kind of sum up what I think is the most important takeaway from integrating smart tech, is that it provides flexibility, creativity, and sincerity. With flexibility, there's full immersion. Students are able to engage in game-based learning. It lets teachers get outside of conventional lesson planning and strategies and activities. They can go ahead and have whole class workspaces. The idea that now you have a virtual community, a virtual camaraderie, as well as the in-class, it creates a seamless experience for students who might have limited access at home. But then you've also got a control over distractions in the classroom. You can design a classroom that is so completely fun and challenging and interactive that students aren't tempted to be texting or listening to music or doing anything other than focusing on what's in front of them. Also, we have the creativity aspect. There's personalization. All students, even those with disabilities, those with language barriers, we are able to bring them into the fold with the accessibility features that technology affords us. Now there are one-to-one devices and tailored activities that allow students to become creators of their content rather than just consuming it. They're excited to show their knowledge in new ways, and it helps those with multiple intelligences, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, feel more at home and more at ease within this classroom structure. And smart technologies can allow students, this makes me most excited, to interact with other classes across the globe. We have a cultural exchange that can happen. We can see the way that other classrooms across the world are teaching and how they're innovating, and we have the opportunity to incorporate that right away. There's no delay in that information share, and that's a huge advantage to our students. And lastly, sincerity. The frequency of and substantiveness of teacher feedback can increase as we have immediate means to tell our students how they're doing, to dialogue, and to get metrics on their progress that help our students to move forward. Teachers have shown a greater enthusiasm for professional development and pedagogy that supports technology, that there's hands-on activity, that it encourages students to use their inquisitive mindset and actually find new answers to new problems. They're up for the challenges, they're up for the tasks, and so are we when we feel empowered to use this technology. So I hope that I gave you a little bit of information, a little bit of helpful dialogue on what smart technologies are coming and how we can incorporate them. And I thank you so much for watching and hearing about what I think is going to be a wonderful, wonderful addition to your classroom. Thank you.